Poor Drew, so confused. He always felt mistreated and confused. It was a Saturday evening. He just got up from a long night trying to finish his homework. He was homeschooled because he couldn't take all the kids laughing and taunting and snarling at him. Nobody knew why he'd lock himself in his room all day doing schoolwork. He had no friends, no girlfriend. He was a very handsome young man. He knew it. Girls came in groups just to say hi. But today, Drew was furious. He woke up sweating like a pig, his grandma on his mind, always making him mad, taunts him day and night and day. He decided that this time he'd kill all his family. So he decides to plan for that night. So at night, he tiptoes down the stairs to the kitchen, to the cutlery, and takes a kitchen knife inspired by the movie Michael Myers. He planned to kill the men first because the women are awake alarms if he'd mess up. But suddenly, he forgets something. A hoodie. He goes back up and puts on a hoodie with a big hoodie so no one would see his face. He goes down and kills his dad first because he's always awake at night working on the computer. So he opens the door quietly and carefully. It's the only door in the house that slams shut when no one's holding it. So he has to go in and out before the door slams shut. So he slowly opens the door and goes for the kill. He puts his knife in the air and lunges it into his dad's stomach. And quickly, before he says something, he stabs him repeatedly. Blood flies everywhere, all on his iMac, the walls, the windows, and then he wipes the blood and tears off his face with his sleeve. Then goes to the end of the hallway and peeks through the door of his grandparents. They were both sleeping. He hated them. They built his rage, all his hatred, and now he can end his suffering. He goes and kills his grandpa. He wipes his dad's blood off his knife, then slices his grandfather's throat, and then takes his body and puts him in the basement. Then he laughs in an evil voice and goes back to the room and takes his wallet. Then he goes and kills his mom and slices her neck too. And then goes to his sister's room and takes the knife and kills his little sister and his little cousin who comes over every weekend. Then he waits in the bathroom for his grandma to wake up. She was the one he wanted to kill the most. He goes in the shower and waits. She finally gets up and goes to the bathroom. He was waiting till she makes that stupid ass irritating noise with the shower door. Every morning, and when she opens the shower door, he stabs her in the stomach, and she falls to the ground, and he lets her stay there trying to crawl to a phone, but with her weight being too heavy, she wasn't even able to make it out the bathroom. He sat and watched her squirm, and he says, "This is what you get, bitch, for all these months torturing me. It's your turn to suffer." So he stabs her another time, and then kicks her 3 times in her stomach, and waited till her moaning ended, and then cut her head off, then put it in his backpack, and he went out in the pouring rain, and went to the garage, and took some gasoline, and went back and started pouring it on each floor of his house, and took a match and lit it up, and put the head in the kitchen, and ran out of the back door and watched it burn. Suddenly, he heard the sirens of the cops coming, so he ran, jumped at the fence, and went to the nearest gas station. He was scared to go anywhere because he might be caught, so he went in the gas station. He tried to keep his calm and bought some Mountain Dew and some chips. He went to the cash register, and the man at the counter said $3.25. So he gave him the money he took from his grandfather's wallet. The cashier was looking at him, and Drew was wondering why. So he was so startled he left without taking his stuff, and thought to himself, why was the cashier staring at him so suspiciously? And he looked down on his sweater, and he was drenched in blood. He hurriedly took the sweater off and ran to the woods, the only place no one would think a kid would go, still kind of wanting the cops to find him. He didn't think he could live on his own, and he was scared to death. He went to the woods, and he ran and ran, crying to himself, and asking God why he did this to him, and he ran as far as he could till he couldn't run anymore, and he finally ran out of breath and stopped and started panting. As he was looking around trying to see where he was, he found an abandoned barn, and slept in some hay. It was hard to, it was hard for him every day looking for food, always looking behind his back, knowing the cops were after him. He knew he couldn't go to any family members because he knew that that's where the cops would be probably waiting for him to give up. He grew a big hatred of the world, but as his hatred grew, so did his love for killing. And for 20 years, the world cringed at the name the Black Hoodie. It was all the witnesses saw before he vanished in the night after his murders. The Black Hoodie.